Are you showing what education looks like in your own life? In other words, are you displaying what it looks like to be a lifelong learner to your children as well as to others in your life? If not, I'm encouraging you to stay with me for the next 15 minutes as I share with you part three of the three-part series of Mother's Education, where I'm going to be sharing with you what the life of a mother's education looks like. You're going to be learning three things: what life should look like as a mother, and it isn't what you're probably experiencing right now. And you're going to learn the secret to experiencing life as it should be. And then, number three, you're going to learn how to be intentional with your education and life. I'm Dollie Freeman. I am a self education expert using the Charlotte Mason's parental and educational philosophies. And today on the Charlotte Mason Mastery Show, I'm looking forward to really showing you what has been a passion of mine for 22 years, almost 23 years. And that is this method of education that is not only meant for our children, but also for ourselves. And over the last few weeks, I've been sharing about a mother's education. The first week, I talked about the atmosphere of a mother's education. And the second week, I talked about the discipline of a Charlotte Mason's education. And now I'm talking about what that looks like as a life. Our life should, in fact, embody education. Now, Charlotte Mason says that habit formation is education, and education is habit formation. And so, if you're in a life of endless friction right now, and you're thinking to yourself, Dolly, there is absolutely no way I can fit in any type of learning at this point. It's all I can do to educate my children. I want you to take a little breath and I want you to try to stay focused with me over the next few minutes because my heart is to help you in your place right now as a mother. So let's get started by talking about this very first thing that's very much misunderstood in our culture, and that's what a life of a mother should look like. And I guarantee you, for the most part, it's probably not what you're experiencing. I know for me, when I was in the trenches of having young children and just major chaos in our day, I really was not experiencing life as I should. And the scripture tells us that God has given us life more abundantly. And I don't know about you, but as a homeschooling mom, more abundantly is not the way I would explain life. We have so many life demands, and we are going from one thing to the next. We're dealing with one need to another interruption. And it's really hard to just find a spot to breathe, let alone learn. And so I want you to recognize that the very first thing I want you to be thinking about right now is that your life, your first object, or Charlotte Mason calls the ultimate object of education, is habit formation. So I want you to be thinking that the endless friction that's going on in your home right now is in fact formed from the passive parenting, because each day, every hour, not just every day, but every hour, we are either passively or actively forming habits, not only in ourselves, but in our children. And that's part of education. So if your life is full of chaos, it's the habits that's going on. And so, what I want you to recognize is that our life as a mother should be, in fact, joyful, number one, and it should be to the fullest. And it's hard when our life is full of so many bad habits that we are teaching to our children, that we are allowing more bad habits to form. And habits are just formed by actions taken that is natural to us and that grow stronger by exercise. The more we do something, the more it becomes a habit. And the longer we do it, it becomes our nature. So if you've been stuck in this endless friction for so long, it's because it's nature to your family now. And there has to be some type of education that you've got to switch those gears and recognize you were meant, your purpose in life is to be joyful and to experience an abundant life, to have the fullness of your position as a mother. And when we step into a mother, I hope you hear me here. When we step into a mother, we are not leaving our individual identification at the curb. We are still an individual. We are a wife and a mother, but we are still an individual. We are, in fact, a person that has the desires of learning. We have the desires of interest. We have other things that we still need to pursue. And it was very easy for me to push them down, thinking that motherhood requires that of me. What I want you to recognize, it's not. And so I want you to hear that the secret in experiencing life as a mother as it should be is to recognize that you deserve to take a moment for yourself, whatever that looks like. I love the story of the Wesleys, John and oh goodness, John Wesley. I cannot remember his brother's name for the life of me right now, but their mother, and if you don't know, they were actually very instrumental in, they were evangelists and very instrumental in the Great Awakening. Their mother would have the endless friction. I mean, come on, we are mothers, but we are also individuals, and we cannot live in constant friction. We cannot live in constant stress or anxiety. We must take a moment and claim, and this is what I want you to hear, you must claim moments of your day. You must say, this is for me. But what I love about this story is that she would always wear an apron, and she would put the apron over her head. And oftentimes it would be in prayer, but sometimes it was just to be absolutely quiet. Some moms today would run to the bathroom and lock the door, right? Or hide in the closet with some chocolate. Well, she just put the apron over her head, and that was a signal to her children that mom just claimed these moments for herself. And I want you to recognize that that is a habit in which you must do, because if you don't say, I'm an individual, I too must be focused on my habits. I must be focused on creating an atmosphere in which I feel is abundant and that I feel like it is flourishing for me and causing me to be able to move forward as an individual and to be able to have the joy to serve my family. So I want you to recognize those truths and begin to claim moments in your day. For my home, it's, if I get up early and Manoa wakes up and he comes down, because sometimes he can be an early bird, and he'll come down, and he's my child, so he loves to talk. And so he'll come in if I'm in my office doing Bible reading or prayer time, or getting up earlier to work and get a project done. He will come into my office, and I have to remind him, honey, this time right now is for me. And I really don't want to have any of your attention until 8 o'clock. Or I don't want you to take my attention until 8 o'clock. And so he knows before 8 o'clock of the day is for me. And if I get up earlier, it's because I, as an individual, need it. It might be education. It might be for something I delight in, which is, reading scripture, praying, or even having moments of working on my business. So he knows before 8 o'clock, it is not the time to interrupt mommy. I even have hours in the afternoon that is I've claimed for mine. And now, yeah, my child is older and my older children are adults. I can do that. I couldn't do that when they were younger. But I want you to become intentional. And here is how I was able to do it when my children were little. Because, of course, teaching them to look at the clock to stay in bed is one way, but this is very pivotal. I would set the timer in the afternoon, and we would have personal book time. So I would have a book in my hand, and our children would choose their own books as well. I would have little library baskets for our children that they chose themselves, and they could not get up or speak until that timer went off. And when they were young, that was 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but there got to be a time that was an hour. But we had to work up to that. And that was a precious hour in my day. It refreshed me and gave me the energy to move forward. It especially was necessary when my children outgrew nap time. And so nap time was my time of refreshing, but at some point they outgrow that. And so that is how you become intentional about your education for life. And taking the example of the apron over her head, when I began to invest in online learning for myself as a business person, I needed to find space in my day to be able to learn, and my child didn't always understand that. And so I remember teaching him at a this was in 2017, so almost 5 years ago when I started to invest in online learning as a business owner, I would put headsets on. And I'm not talking earbuds, I'm talking headsets. They're almost too obnoxious to miss, which was what I was going for. There were also the canceling sounds so that I could really concentrate if things were going on in the home. And again, my children were old enough to help me with my younger one. So it wasn't like I was ignoring my son or my youngest. I was definitely making sure they were taken care of. But I taught my children that when I'm in the space with this on, I'm learning. And I remember the first time I taught my son that, he was like, "What? You have school too?" And to him, he connected learning with school, but that is because I hadn't created that atmosphere for my children to let them realize that learning is a life. It is not just certain hours in the day, it's a lifestyle. And so I really desire that you will take that to heart. Now, maybe you're not really focused on too much of the habits. You don't really know how to begin, or you feel like you have way too many things going on in your home to really know what habits are the most important. And you might be having endless friction because the elliptical orbits are out of control. Now, the parent has an elliptical orbit and the children have elliptical orbit. And the one is run by authority, that's the parents, and the children are run by willing obedience. And when there is not those two things working simultaneously and in the right spirit, chaos is going to happen. You're going to be really running amok pretty quickly, and you won't be able to carve any time out. So, I want to tell you that right now, until Friday at midnight or 11:59 Eastern time, I have the doors open to the consistent parent. And this is something, let me try to put it up here. This is something I want to invite you in. This is something I'll only open up a few times a year. This is a membership that's going to equip you. It's going to help that education that you desire for life, that will help you to really move the needle in your family. Not just giving yourself, this 15 minutes here and there, but to giving you the tools that will equip you to get that authority right in your home, get that willing obedience right in your children, so that your relationships and habits, the ultimate object of education is being habit formation, will all come together so that you're actually able to create the space. And when I really put an effort forward in habit formation, that is when I found more and more hours in my day to devote to the individual person that I am, and not just put myself, I'm a wife at this moment, I am a mother in this moment, and not having any space. I don't know if I'm speaking to someone. I kind of feel like someone right now is hearing this and thinking, I have no space, I can't breathe. And if that is you, I want you to know you have to be intentional about that space. No one is going to give you what you don't claim. So I was willingly and intentionally giving my space away. And some of it was bad habits. Others was just feeling like only I could do things. Only I was fit to do these particular duties and roles in the home. But the fact of the matter was, that was a misunderstanding in my concepts, and that I needed to have my eyes open to realize that I am one person. And when I let go of the individual of who I am, I'm teaching my children that that's okay. But we are created for a purpose, and it's more than just a wife and a mother. Those are unbelievable, righteous things for us to be doing. But we are a child of God, and we cannot let that go at a side. We cannot let that truth become less of a truth just because we are also called to be wives and mothers. We are also called to be an individual. So I hope that encourages you. I would like to invite you to go check it out at charlottemasonmastery.com/. membership. That will help you to understand what I'm talking about. It'll give you the tools you need to be equipped to build those habits in your home. Hello, Deidre. I have missed seeing you too. It's so nice to see you on here. That was a wonderful surprise when I got into the comments. I hope your homeschool is doing very well this year. And I hope this encouraged you today. My desire is that these 15 minutes, and we're a few minutes over today, these 15 minutes, I hope become the things that you look forward to come in and get refreshed as a mama. We all need a little bit of encouragement, some tips to do something a little bit different, because if we're not changing what we're doing, then nothing's going to change, right? If we're expecting the same results with the same efforts, that's the definition of insanity. So let's recognize we have to change in order for our situations to change. All right, so I want you to know this concludes the three-part series, A Mother's Education. If you miss any of them, I encourage you to go back and really listen to them. They're meant for you. They're meant for you to recognize how abundant your life could be and how much joy you can get out of being present as an individual and walking in the truth that you are a child of God. Now, next week, I'm taking the day off. And the reason being is I'm bringing my mom home from New York. I'm going to go visit her tomorrow, and I'm going to be bringing her back with me for a visit. And I just need to be present with my mommy. In case you don't know, I lost my daddy in November and I lost my sister in September. So I kind of need some family time. And I know you understand. So next week, I'm taking it off, even though my mom says, oh, you can still work. I can keep myself busy. It's not about my mom keeping herself busy. It's about me having time with my mom. So I won't be on next week, but the following week, which is the 23rd of March, I will be teaching you how to get the most out of how to get your children to learn on field trips. I'm so excited about that particular episode, and I'll tell you why then. But you want to join me on that Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. I look forward to sharing it with you. And Deidre said, we are figuring out life with the 4-year-old twin boys. Yay! I'm so happy to hear the adoption went through wonderfully. I'm so excited for that update. All right, you all have a wonderful time. Keep doing what you're doing. What you do matters, but don't forget you matter too. Until next time, bye for now.